Market vitals, the levels you need to triage the market. HFR. How do we let? Lee's in. We got Lee. Lee's on board. The meeting is being live streamed in China. Matt, breaking news
in China.
In China. By the way, no video for Miss Trade today. He's a face for radio today. A face for radio. W what in Detroit, man? W what?
Mm-hmm.
W what? What was the call letters in Detroit that you listened to? AM radio.
For AM radio, WJR.
Yeah. WJR.
You could hear WJR in Florida on a clear night from Detroit. It was a monster broadcast signal.
Did you know that they found out not radio waves but microwaves? The reason why they found out that you could cook with them is because they actually cooked a few people. This is true.
That I believe.
Yeah, there's a few soldiers. They were working on microwaves, and they're like, "Fuck, we just cooked Jimmy."
Jimmy.
Didn't even put any rub on them. You just cooked them.
Just torched them.
Matt, breaking news. Let me sure I'm sharing the right one. And we're not even going to put up the graphic of absolute horse shit. But I'm so done with this whole thing. I said it on the way in. Australian Open allows COVID positive players to compete next. They were dragging people off their porches in Australia.
Just a couple months ago.
Yeah, they were dragging them off their porches and putting them in concentration camps.
And the horse lady in New Zealand was even worse.
Not only can you go there, but you can test positive and play.
They're encouraging you to make the choice at this point. Freedom.
That it reminded me of when Jordan, and not the country, Michael, 23, played the Utah Jazz with the flu. Contagious, for sure. The flu, spitting, coughing, sneezing. He goes out and puts up 30 in the second half or something ridiculous, collapses at the end of the game. He's a hero.
You're right.
He's a hero for fighting through a contagious virus.
Flu.
Unreal.
Uh-huh.
And now apparently the circus continues. I don't even know what to say. I'm dumbfounded. All right, Matt, since I'm here, how do I get rid of this how do I get rid of my, you know what? I got to come out and come back in because I never can figure it out. I can never figure it out. There it is. There's the tweet I want to share. And again, I'm going to have to, let me do this. Preemptive, because it was a tweet, and I want to give credit to the tweet on how I saw this. Now, we have never on this show talked about concrete. We find unique new ways to talk about price discovery and certain things, anything really. We're like Johnny Carson. We're just trying to fill a half hour here.
That's right.
This is Joe Lonsdale sharing. It's been a mystery why Roman concrete often lasted thousands of years, but ours decays. I mean, how many sidewalks have you been on? And you're like, who poured this? Like, it's ridiculous how fast.
Well, especially from a concrete, a grandfather who was a concrete guy, a true concrete guy.
Well, he should have known, this was good information that he could have known. The riddle is solved. Matt. MIT scientists have figured out that this little red area here, that is, hold on a second, that is a calcium. Yeah. Whatever.
That looks like, is that South America or Africa? What is it?
It looks like Africa, doesn't it? Yeah. But this is a little tiny piece of the concrete from the Roman era, and what?
I thought that was your AI art again coming in.
It could have been. It could have been. In fact, I'm not saying that it might not have been. Anyway,
maybe they used your AI art to create the work for that.
Unbelievably.
Apparently, talking to my kids over the break, speaking of mushrooms, is that kids are now using that chat GPT to write their term papers.
Oh, for sure. In fact,
teachers have no clue what's going on, they say.
Yeah, I know. It's good.
At the university level.
And not only that, I mean, if you give it your style of writing to work from, it's almost bulletproof.
Yeah. So
back to concrete.
So doesn't that kill the whole college business?
It's going to make it difficult. I'll tell you that.
I mean, why do you need tenured professors if you can just, type it into a chat bar and it gives you the answers?
I think it's ultimately it's not good. If you can't teach critical thinking, if you don't have a computer or a phone next to you, you're pretty much going to be in a boat without an oar. I don't know. It's like
that's kind of where we are right now. You see it with this generation. They're like, oh, must comply. Robot.
All right, Matt, let's talk concrete. We found one company, and I think it's interesting. CRH, call letter CRH. Why don't you take it away? And then I want to talk about it too. I want to share the standard deviation work on CRH.
Well, back in like the 90s and early aughts, wasn't the Mexican Chemex? What was
Chemex? Yeah, there's a bunch of them. In fact, the 10 largest.
He was like the richest man in the world back before technology, like because it was concrete, right?
Well, amazing to me too is like there's very few concrete companies that trade in the U.S. because of ESG. I imagine like it's one of the biggest polluters, right?
And
Making concrete,
no steel, no concrete, you can't build, right?
Exactly.
That doesn't fit the ESG model. Well, apparently, people are constructing since December 16th because this thing is up about 16%.
I know. I thought that was really interesting.
And it's been runaway gaps too this year. I mean, look at last year. Boom, gap, another one gap. Somebody needed to get in a position on concrete here. But you start looking out of this chart pays a dividend of 2.72%. Trades a quarter, 350,000 shares a day, not a very liquid mover. So yeah, it was on sale and somebody came in and loaded up here you're
seeing the same thing that I'm seeing though there, aren't you? The top of that profile and that whole year that we spent in that bracketology.
Yep. And again, the COVID low was 1760, just got down into this area here at 31 after trading up to 54, $32 billion market cap. Yeah, Bob, I don't know. It looks probably to be exhausting itself here into the 45 level, possibly up here at 44 on the comeback. 54 to 31, that's 23. Half back is right about where we are at 44, a little bit more. So you draw a fib, you got the fib working and the top of the profile since COVID, which is a good reference, which gets you right up here to like 45 and a half. Yeah, I think you could probably, again, as long as you don't want to sell 300,000 shares, because
right. As long as you're not sticking your feet in the concrete.
As long as you're a little guy trading 500,000 lot little babies, sure, you could put on a position there. Why not?
Well, the interesting thing about this concrete is that as it cracks, it self-heals itself, right? So you think, Lee, about all those people they put in cement shoes, they need this kind of concrete, right? Because you don't want that stuff cracking and that body eventually floating because of the concrete. I digress. Let me share my monthly, because for me, it's right there. It's right where you want to be saying, all right, no mas. And when you think about it, let's just make sure we're seeing the right thing. Are we seeing the right thing? CRH, big black chart.
Yep.
All right, we're right into this monthly momentum level, downward sloping. I'm telling you, if this was an hourly or a 15-minute or a 30-second or a daily or a weekly, one of my favorite trades is right here. This exact setup, a downward sloping opposite momentum level that you run into. And not only are we running into the opposite momentum level, but we're running into the high of the profile. We're running into the fib retracement, a bunch of things going on here. And then overlay that with, is it going to be that much of a building bonanza in 2023? I mean, honestly, I see more demand for concrete, right?
Oh, I thought you said bonanza.
Bonanza, I did, but I see more of a demand for concrete for shoes than for, building buildings. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Maybe.
I found it interesting, though, Matt, to follow that thread, how often in humanity that we forget how to do shit. And It's unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
they knew how to do concrete better 2,000 years ago than they do
Well,
now.
I think that comes with, the cycle of the cycles, right? It's complacency, and we're in one right now where everybody's like fat and happy and playing video games and Netflix and chilling and TikToking.
I agree. Matt.
Interestingly enough, my youngest said to me Friday night over dinner that he just deleted TikTok.
Oh, well, good for him.
That's a mature decision because he said it's eating up my days. It's addictive.
And let's face it, that's what they want.
I mean, no, but it's
That's exactly what they want.
For him to be aware at 19 years old and realize that it's a freaking waste of time. It's good.
All right, Matt.
So maybe he can work on building better bridges and better concrete instead of, and that's what I said. Well, use your time to come up with, have some thinking time versus watching other people. Or, again, why do we need to see TikToks of people dancing and nurses jamming in the, who cares? Good Lord.
Speaking of jamming, Matt, there's a giant air mass called the polar
cyclone. Weather happens.
Weather happens. And amazingly here, he talks right here. He talks, I'm not sure if it's this tweet. This is from 10 hours ago. One of our great fellows in the natural gas space, Heinrich Leopold. He is talking about this massive cold air mass. And as the cyclone weakens, that air mass is able to travel, see the world, and freeze the continents. So winter is not over, even though it's been mild the last 3 weeks. He is predicting that this is going to come in with a vengeance end of January. And freeze frame, Matt.
Well, we talked about it Friday, and we were kind of pounding the table saying you need to buy it. I started buying it Thursday at 367, added down to 352, 353. And I'm now out of that trade because we're up about 18% from the lows. Don't be a pig.
Pigs get slaughtered, man.
And if you missed it, now is not the time probably necessarily to buy and or sell. Like, you need more information here. Now, if it pulled back down to 375 again, I'd probably buy it again. And if it broke out and, got above this 4.25 level, it's going to zoom again higher. So these are your levels. But right now you're kind of bracketed 350 to 420. And until that changes, right, but there is a nice hole here. So you can put some orders in, you can put some buy stops in. And if if it fills, it's probably going to move quickly up to 450 again. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think too, though, like the timing of this, that's a nice little run. I wouldn't, it should pull back and give you a chance to get long again because believe me, once the cold starts penetrating, right, and once the outlook and once those forecasts come through and they're going to be like, holy fuck, it's 2 weeks and we're not going to see 10 degrees
right
in places. And especially if that spills all the way south to Texas again, you think about how many more people have to turn on their heater.
Yep.
But we haven't even seen those headlines yet. And I wanted to point out, and I didn't see it in those 2 tweets, because he has been saying that the meteorologists are not talking about this yet.
Yeah, the fascinating thing, I was talking to a friend in San Diego this morning, and they said that they got a notice from whoever, PG&E or whatever their gas company is down there, that they should expect a doubling of their prices over last year. And they just got that in San Diego. So it depends. It's again, weather is regional, but it's really cold in San Diego right now, 40s and 50s. So they're sticking the fear fork into those poor saps down there in San Diego for a while, poking them. And then, I heard from another friend over in the Slow area who's, we're supposed to get 2 to 4 inches. Well, you live on the coast and it rains and it's winter. Like this shit, when the weather starts becoming the main story, it drives me bananas. I don't know about you, Bob, but I'm like, weather happens. Oh, we better create some more ESGs and tax them more because we can't stop or change the weather, but we're going to say we can. We're going to say we can. Okay.
There's a beautiful look at the potential here. That is a beautiful look. On this cold snap, no reason why that $6 target shouldn't be accessible in the next month. Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason. But again, you got some work to do. You still haven't really found the bottom. maybe for a day or two, but you got to go test maybe a little bit more here. Like I said, so if you caught that Friday, good for you. Congratulations. 10 to 18% move. That's a monster, Bob. Monster.
Beautiful.
But pull it off and wait for the next, the next opportunity here, which we just kind of laid out for it.
All right, Matt. We got national championship tonight.
Yes.
I love the dog. I always love the dog. That's why I'm a terrible gambler.
No, betting the dog is not a bad thing. I disagree with you there. I had TCU in the money line when they played Michigan, just as a fiscal hedge against my mental abuse.
Anyway, Matt.
But I always do that. It always gives me a little just smile when I'm like, whatever. At least I won.
For the viewing public, I want to share this. We're going to have a nice, obviously New Year's Eve, they didn't sell enough beef because I picked up the full strip loin, like 7-pound strip loin, right? For dirt cheap, like, 80% off in the meat counter, right? So first of all, I'm going to bring that over actually early this afternoon, and you're going to let it sit on top of your refrigerator, because if it's on the counter, your dog will eat it for sure.
He will, unless we're out walking.
So the key though with meat, roasts, steaks, you got to sit them out and let them come to room temperature. And that means like on a 8-pound roast, that means 3 or 4 hours.
It's like, like an hour for a half, or an hour for every 2 pounds. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. You got to let that thing come to room temperature.
Yeah. But I learned that from you, and it really is.
It's a game changer. It is
because then when you cook it, it's like you said, the meat's really where it should be. Then you can do that 2-minute or 3-minute fillet, right? It's perfect. So yeah, I can't wait. Hey, by the way, I made some killer. The one thing my son sends me all the time, my oldest son, he sends me these TikToks, and I send you them, where they're like these time capsuled, like videos of meals that they're making, and they do them, like it all.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer them to be 7 seconds, like a Vine. Like if you can't show me it in 7 seconds, I don't want to make it.
Well, but there's multiple steps, 30 seconds.
Show them to me in 7 seconds. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not that smart. I need longer time. I need to be able to just pause it. Listen, okay, let me.
You're the guy that they need to show how to chop an onion to, right?
I figure that out. It's not that. I don't need that.
Please don't show me the onion chop.
But if it's Giada, I'll watch her. If it's Giada, I will watch her chop anything for an hour and a half, even if she hasn't made anything.
Matt, let me get to surprise discovery, because as we talk about beef, I hadn't noticed this, and so I'm going to share this. And this is the calendar spread, right? June cattle. Now you see where this thing came on the board, and I can show you it over here. $5 or so over June. In the calendar of cattle trading, June generally is the least priced item in the cattle complex, right? December is generally the most expensive.
Okay.
And so this is really an abnormality here.
Okay.
June. All right. I want to point out another thing. If there is nasty weather in January, February, this spread can go parabolic. Feb back over. I mean, it could go from $5 to $10 over, right? If you're in normal times. Well, at near even money, I just think this is a no-brainer spread to start paying attention to, because weather affects Feb cattle more than anything else. Like if you get a late January, early February storm, you can strand cattle, you can cattle die.
You're reminding me of the trailer for Yellowstone right now. Gosh.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm
all fired up.
Anyway, keep paying attention to this. Right now, it's not parabolic, right? There's nothing about this chart that's parabolic. It's dead flat. But I'm telling you what, if there's a weather event here, end of January, beginning of February, that starts curtailing the ability to get cattle to the market, this thing could go absolutely bananas. All right. And then the other one I want to show spread wise is the hog complex. We got the hog roll. And right now for me, this is one of my favorite spreads of the year. and it's June, July hog spread. In general, it's a month separating these two deliveries, and so there shouldn't be that much price change. Hogs, have I told you before, the most expensive hogs in general are the summer month hogs, June, July, and August. So if this spread, if in this roll cycle over the next couple of days, if they kick this thing out to $2, again, I think this is such a great trade to put on. Long June, short July, and after this roll happens, you watch this spread come all the way back to par, and it could even go $2 over June over July. It's a function of the roll. It's not necessarily a function of the fundamentals on the ground. And very important to take advantage of these things when just the functionality of the market is what's driving the price. So watching this, I'm watching this carefully, this roll cycle over the next week, June, anywhere between $1.50 and $2 under July, and you got to start putting some of these on. Take it from an old.
That is good information there, because you just taught me something new that I had no idea about. So I know there's got to be a lot of other people that thank you for that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and you can again, you can pull it up as a single ticket. The CME offers these as single tickets. You don't have to worry about trying to leg them in. Right. I've lost more money trying to leg spreads, thinking that I'm a genius. Like, well, I'm going to buy these, and then they rally, I'll sell those. And
it doesn't work that way, right?
No, you put the spread on.
You got to do it all at once. I mean, that's the only way I would, trade options with equities. That was the only way we could do it, always. So I agree.
So pay attention. Pay attention.
Hey, speaking of paying attention, we talked about this Friday again, but let's talk about, we're in this world now where the bonds, like we're cycling, right? Everybody thinks the Fed's going to start cutting again.
Dude, as a matter of fact, right now that DEES 23, DEES 24, it's back out to $1.38. Like they're going to cut rates by a 1.5 points. Think about that. That's what the market is telling you right now.
This is how big of a problem Powell has on his hands. Like we have not heard people. Still, we have not heard people. So they literally are holding on and thinking, turn of the calendar, which. Right on the dot here. I mean, this is the first of the year. We were at 133. That's where we closed, the low. We're all the way up to 141, Bob. We're 141 again here today. That's a new high for the year. It's a new high for the move. And we're coming into that 61.8 here that we talked about last week, 141.5. You should be selling, I believe. If you've been riding this, it's time. And again, we got CPI coming on Thursday this week, which we were going to talk about. So this is a good lead in into the CPI. Listen, everybody is expecting inflation to come down a little bit, which I guess would, complete this cycle, because we've already gone up expecting inflation to come down. The market has already done, the market's already done that. So the market is ahead of what the news is going to be. So let's just assume that it drops from 9.7 to 9.3 again, or whatever. Again, they're going to tell us inflation is cheaper. But again, I went and bought 10 items at U.S. Food Chef, which is the
right.
cookie. 10 items, including 5 pounds of ground beef, including some chicken, including some lunch meat. That I went there specifically, and then for some cheese, for some specific items that I can store. Right. What do you think my bill was for those 10 items? I didn't buy any expensive sirloin like you. I bought ground beef.
I'm saying
10 items,
$100.
Yes, $85, my friend. And I literally had it in a little box that was the size, not much bigger than a shoebox, maybe a little deeper, but the size of it, was basically like an 18 by 12 box, maybe a foot deep. That's all I had. Unbelievable. You can't tell me that inflation is still not here.
No. And in fact, we shared,
especially when the heating bills are doubling, and the electric bills, your utilities, your water, everything is up. Everything.
The water was, we just noticed that. We just had the water bill out, and it was I want to say it was 20% higher.
Yeah.
The fucking water bill. Come on, the water didn't change here. Seriously, it's snow melt runoff. Like, how is that different?
Well,
Man, on the inflation front, we talked recently and had the chart about the inflation from the late 60s through the 70s and 80s, right? And how it waved. And I had that stored in the back of my mind. And then I read one of the Fed governors saying, we are not gonna take our foot on and off the gas pedal, referring back to that time frame. Like, we're not gonna play this ping pong until we slay. I think they learned their lesson then. Like, you can't take your foot off the gas pedal. Otherwise, you have a decade and a half of wild swinging inflation. So again, for me, that points to this DECE 23-24 euro dollar spread chart. And right now, it's still there. It's still ridiculous, and it still has potential to the downside. But at some point, when this baby turns, it's going to come back to par, because I took from what they're saying, like, they're going to keep their foot. They might not raise anymore, but they're certainly not going to go into an easing cycle.
I'm going to say this right here. They're going to raise 50, 50, and then maybe 2 more 50s, and then like 4 quarters. That gets, I think that's going to get you to the end of the year. There will be no reductions this year. Sorry.
Don't be sorry, Matt. You don't have to be sorry. All right. I don't know what else. I don't know what else we got. They're cracking them a little bit right now. Me and you both thought that. Again, it was about a 10-hour run.
You don't see 2-day trend days in a row, especially with some big economic calendar coming this week. There's a lot of things that can move this market. So, we just basically had a 5% move. We went from 10.7 in the NASDAQ almost to 11.4. That's 700 points. So yeah, that's 5% right there. And the NASDAQ, or the S&P, was right at 4.6%. As it went from 3,800 to 3,973. And again, my target for this move has been probably 40.50, maybe possibly 4,100. So again, this market just gets it done quickly. It gets everybody trapped at the same levels. 3,800 wasn't going anywhere, and we talked about it. It held. You should have bought it. And now you should be selling it. That's how bear markets work. They trap you thinking we're going lower, we're crashing, but you need bad news, and there's no bad news in the market right now that's going to take it down. And unless it's this week, unless it's CPI. If CPI is higher, wow,
fucking look out.
Look out. But again, who controls the CPI? You got to believe that game's being manipulated. So,
well, they can only kick the can down the road so far until they've lost total respect in everything they do. Much like Australia now, COVID positive participant.
I mean, talk about like the biggest case of fucking cry wolf out of down under. You people are nuts. Literally,
man, I just noticed the recording is still paused. So that's good. That's all right. We got another place to get it from. Yeah. All right. Anything else, Matt? Anything else? Lee, anything else? Sell cement, buy the dollar, sell equities. Buy Feb, sell June cattle. Buy June, sell July hogs. Sell the bonds. I'm not sure what else. Did I cover it all? Heat your concrete, by the way. And we're going to Mars. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. I've completely changed my opinion on going to Mars.
Let's talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, you know what? We have to.
Yes,
we have to, because I'm a Bears fan. First pick. Not only that, $100 million of cap space, more than twice of any other team.
Okay.
All right. So the Bears should be better next year, and considerably better.
Yeah, but
I mean, they got the first pick,
but they're at least a year behind the Lions. So let's talk about the Lions.
I agree with that, and I think the most important thing is the Packers are done, sold on the Packers. Nothing makes me happier more than seeing Aaron Rodgers collect $30 million in a not a Packer uniform, and that's my prediction.
I like Aaron Rodgers. I don't care.
I do too. I like him too. I just don't like him in a Packers uniform. That's why I like Brett. I like Brett Favre too. It made it really hard. It was so much easier to hate the Packers when Lynn Dickey was the quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean, give me a break.
Hey, how about the All-Pro? Geno Smith?
If you want to talk about a great story, and resilience, and just keep working your craft. I mean, I love it. I love what he's done.
And how about Williams for the Lions last night? Same story. Work your craft. The guy's healthy. He's got an offensive line that freaking parts waves. I mean, and between he and Swift, the Lions, man, they looked good yesterday.
The Lions are
no, but think about that. Did you see the interview with Williams after the game?
Yes, it was fantastic.
He was crying.
He was so overwhelmed with gratitude, right?
Yes.
And then it was great because he's like, don't let these tears fool you. I will kill a motherfucker.
But he broke Barry Sanders' touchdown record. Dude,
yes,
unbelievable. It's
fantastic.
Unbelievable. I had no idea he was even there. I had no idea he was even close. So, man, and he played for the the Pack. So what a story! I think it's a great story. I don't know about you. Obviously, I'm biased, and the Lions aren't even in the playoffs. But I was happy for him. And I hope they keep Goff. I think he works within this system very well. And some of these receivers that are just starting to play the last couple of games, like the kid from Alabama was hurt all season. But what we saw in the 3 or 4 games, the kid is unbelievable if he can stay healthy.
All right, man. Look out below in equities. You just heard it here. I think they give it all back. Honest to God.
Well, the Spoos are already down 30 from the 74 range. So there you go.
Spoos closed lower on the day. HFR.
The NASDAQ, the Spoos are up 27. They were up 70 or 60, and the NASDAQ is just starting to roll over. So you got a little bit more time there. The NASDAQ's only off a little bit here. It's a little bit slower, which makes sense. Again, this market seems to be, the Spoos are leading, not the NASDAQ. That continues to be the truth. Tesla ran all the way up here to 123s. It looks like it's probably tiring of that run from 102. That's a big move. That's a 20% move again in 2 days. So don't be a pig if you're trading. You have to look at where the market's been. Just because you didn't buy the bottom doesn't mean you should maybe be buying here.
Agreed.
Let it come back. Let it come back a little bit.
All right, please.
But let's just talk a little bit about these wild card games. Next week we got. We'll talk about it later in the week. But I also wanted to finish with Geno Smith. Geno Smith, by the way, I don't know if you know this, 4,282 yards passing this year. Do you know how many Josh Allen has?
I'm saying 3,800. I don't know.
4,283. 4,283, Bob. People don't know this. Geno Smith. Wow. What a year.
Let me ask you a question then. That's a great game, that wild card game. San Francisco.
It should be a great game. The rookie against the guy who's been grinding, the guy who doesn't know versus the guy that's been working his ass off to get here. San Francisco, I got to say, what's the line? The line's -10. Holy shit.
Oh, my God. Our -10 comes into play.
But -10 with the defensive mind of what's his name? The coach for Seattle. I'm drawing a blank. Help me out. Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll in the playoffs. He's won the Super Bowl. I mean, right? Don't you got to go with him?
No, you can't. You can't fade our system, Matt.
Well, we'll see what the line is on next Saturday. But right now, it's -10. If it gets to -5, we are piling in on the Seahawks.
Right on.
And by the way, this week, when it comes to those 2 double digits, I think they both covered. You had Chiefs won by 18, and the Bills won by 12. So I think both of them were double digit. Oh, and the Vikings too, of course, over your Bears. Those were the 2. So Vikings and the Chiefs, again, 2-0. The simple strategy, but just take the double digit faves. And even with all the players out and all that noise, it really doesn't make much sense, does it? But
all right, Matt. What we got here? We June, July Hogs out to 142. Start playing this baby below 150, $152. We got a roll beginning. Pay attention to this mofo. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else in the NFL that you like?
Well, I mean, as far as the games coming up,
yes,
I think that's going to be a good game. I do want to watch that one, the Seattle game on Saturday, and I think there's a couple good ones. I'm trying to find where are the games? I just had them and I can't find them.
I got the game on here, like General Patton. All right.
Well, we got the Titans, wait. Hold on. Here we go. That's this week. We got the Chargers also and Jaguars. That'll be an interesting game. The two rookies that came in the same season. You got Trevor Lawrence versus, the Oregon boy. I'll be rooting for, and that game is at Jacksonville, so the Chargers are away, even though they got the better record. And then Sunday, again, you have the Dolphins Bills, which will be exciting, but you got to take the Bills there.
Wait a second. I mean, what is the weather supposed to be like?
I don't know. It was warm last weekend, but Buffalo is 10.5 favorites. So right now you got to take the system. And then Vikings, Giants, you got to take the Giants, right? They're just going to upset the Vikings because the Vikings are going to lose early in these playoffs. There's no doubt about it. They suck. The Bengals and Ravens.
I'm saying that's a Norris division thought process.
They suck. They should be 8-8, and they somehow are 13-4.
Norris division play.
I would rather have the Lions over the Lions would go further in these playoffs the way they are playing right now compared to the Vikings. That's all I got to say. And then your Cowboys are playing the Buccaneers at Tommy Boy. 8-9 Buccaneers make the playoffs and are hosting the 12-5 Cowboys. What a weird year. Strange year.
All right, it didn't. Yeah, hold on. I'm getting to the weather, Matt, because it's key. Buffalo, Buffalo, New York. Come on, Buffalo, Wyoming. Well, thank you. Buffalo, New York. Did we add it? 14-day. There we go. All right, my app is not working. I'm giving up on technology. I'm going back to making concrete the way the Romans did. I'll retire in 2 years. Matt, we should start it. Come on, Roman concrete. Sounds like we'll put Hooker Creek out of business in like 3 weeks.
3 weeks, especially in this area.
By the way, in Bend, Oregon, what a great name for a concrete company, Hooker Creek.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's amazing that
sounds like that. Actually, the funny thing is, it actually sounds like something you'd see in Yellowstone.
For sure, that or Tombstone, or what was the other one on HBO? Deadwood.
Yeah.
Tombstone.
Yeah.
Where's Wild Bill? Oh, he's up in Hooker Creek. What's he doing? What do you think he's doing? Oh, thanks.
Hey, what are you eating over there?
All right, go get the dog. I'm going to bring over a side of beef, and that's what we got. Visit us at marcovellos.io. Please share, retweet, and visit Amazon.com and buy some Shrimp Mojo. Some great interactions over the weekend around the shrimp and Shrimp Mojo, Matt. The other thing, too, on the weekend at manja.tv, at the website, there's usually cooking shows streaming. And I found out a few other things, and they're all older cooking shows, right? 20 years ago, 25 years ago. It's amazing how you can watch some of these old cooking shows and pick up tips left, right, and center. Anyway, that's what we got. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lee.
Thanks, boys. Chat with you tomorrow.